I serve in the National Guard while working full-time in a big industry, earning a six-figure salary. I'm physically fit, and I even built my own house and a small farm. I've been in a relationship with my soon-to-be ex for 11 years, and we got married 2 years ago. Recently, I returned from a combat deployment, and we were planning to start a family. However, I made a shocking discovery. While I was away for over 6 months, she had an affair with the man she hired to fix our fence. They had unprotected contacts multiple times, and she developed strong feelings for him. They shared experiences and emotions that she never did with me. She found the small-town cowboy she had always desired, whereas I am not a cowboy. She remains unaware that I know the full extent of their infidelity, but her behavior has been strange ever since I returned home. She claims she lived alone for a year and adjusted to my absence. But I believe the real reason is that she's in love with him and stays with me only because I never left her. She knows I'm a good provider and protector, while he's a younger, attractive cowboy who's married, has kids, and sleeps with clients. What did I do to deserve this? She discussed starting a family with him, having kids, and running away together. She's leading this double life while pretending everything is fine. She's making plans for our planting season, and we even bought more chickens. She talks about having kids with me and scheduling doctor appointments, oblivious to how utterly shattered I am, hiding behind the tough stoicism I learned in the military. I've talked to my Catholic best friend about it, discussing the situation in detail. He believes I should try to fix things and salvage the relationship. While I contemplate filing for divorce and kicking her out, I'm certain that we can't even remain friends, so I set up meetings with 2 lawyers to begin the filing process. I don't believe this relationship can be saved. She shows no remorse, and I suspect she may be a sociopath. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to schedule any in-person therapy sessions. The first available appointments are over 3 weeks away, which is frustrating. Today, I mustered the courage to confide in my mother and closest friends. It was a difficult conversation. I haven't confronted her yet, but I'm making preparations to do so. 2 days later, I have 2 legal consultations today to start the divorce process. Following your advice, I've hired a private investigator. This guy, I've discovered through the investigation, has multiple aliases, a suspended license, and a past conviction. He's 28 years old, married with 2 children, and lives just 15 minutes away from my home. Last night, I had a panic attack and woke up in tears while she slept beside me. I apologized, and she suggested that my distress might be caused by workout supplements or something I picked up during my time overseas. Either she's manipulating me completely, or she genuinely has no idea about the situation. I woke up at 13:45 after working the night shift at the refinery. The PI I hired informed me that she had lunch with him at Qdoba while I was sleeping, even though she claimed to be out shopping. When she returned, I asked her if she went out for lunch, and she blatantly lied to my face, acting like everything was normal. I plan to confront her on her birthday when she comes back. I'm currently working on filing paperwork and preparing for closure on my terms. Day X. It was a beautiful day, much too nice for the tumult that was about to unfold. I woke early, feeling strangely calm, my decision firmly made. I'd spent the morning preparing myself. After a long, punishing workout to clear my head, I took a deep breath and set my plan in motion. My wife came home in the early evening, looking radiant and excited. She had spent the day shopping, making herself look pretty for her big day. As she walked through the door, I handed her a beautifully wrapped box. Her eyes sparkled with anticipation, and she excitedly tore it open. Her face fell when she saw the neatly folded divorce papers within. The shock was plain to see, as was the realization. It was over. I told her about the affair, the cowboy, and the lies. Each word felt like a blow to her stomach. She collapsed, crying and pleading for forgiveness. But it was too late. Then the phone started ringing. It was her parents wanting to wish her a happy birthday, and it was my finest hour. I told them all the truth, and all I heard was my mother-in-law screaming. Poor lady. I had decided to make it public. Her family, friends, and colleagues received emails with evidence of her infidelity. I was done protecting her reputation. The shock in her eyes was evident as she picked up call after call, her sobs and apologies echoing through the room. It was the worst birthday of her life, a far cry from the celebration she'd imagined. So I finally made it to the last part of my plan. I swung open the front door, and right there on the porch were all her things. She wasn't welcome in our house anymore. Her begging turned into loud cries, but I didn't care. I didn't back down. She had to gather her stuff and get out. A few days later, her sister and family are now gaslighting me, blaming me for causing the situation. They dismissed the fact that she engaged in unprotected contact with another guy, attributing it to my emotional unavailability. My wife told the cowboy's wife that it was all fabricated. The cowboy and his wife have decided to reconcile, and she is now pregnant with his third child. My wife's family prioritizes family first, implying that I'm not considered part of their family, and they side with my wife instead of helping us heal. She scoffed at the suggestion of going to individual therapy and working things out. She believes everything will be fine and that she can manipulate me into staying. Update. This morning she signed the divorce paperwork and I filed it. We had a lengthy conversation. She expressed a strong desire to repair our marriage, rating it 10/10, and promised to make a sincere effort over the next 89 days to demonstrate that. However, I don't care. It's been a few weeks now. Her calls and texts come less frequently now. I hear from mutual friends that she's not doing well. She's miserable, they say, alone and regretful. She's searching for houses in Texas and attempting to transfer with her company. Today, on May 12th, the divorce has been finalized. I ended up keeping the house while she's moving to Texas and changing jobs. She still shows no remorse and never took responsibility for destroying our life together. Deployment was challenging, but returning home to a situation that led to a divorce was even worse. The past few months since my return from the Middle East have been the toughest period of my life. Every story has two sides, but this specific situation completely shattered me as a man. It broke me down to my core foundation. I had to rediscover my vulnerability. The faith I found again while overseas has been a source of strength for me, and I'm grateful for that. Understanding why people do terrible things or betray others has been a challenging question that I still don't have answers to. Everything happens for a purpose, even if that purpose was to show you that building a family and life with a specific person wasn't the intended path for you. Without my faith, the support of my closest friends from the academy, my friends and family back home, and the constant check-ins from the men and women I deployed with, I don't know where I would be today. To those who consistently called and texted me during my darkest moments, thank you. Now, it's time to begin a new chapter with someone who genuinely desires to create those stories alongside me. Second story. Dee and I were together from the age of 18. We dated for 6 years and were married for 6 years. We had an amazing connection, and our personalities and interests complemented each other perfectly. Being with him felt so natural, like we were meant to be together. I was deeply in love with him, and a part of me still is. Throughout our relationship, I never noticed any signs of him cheating. We had a wonderful relationship for many years, getting married, adopting a dog, and spending most of our time together. We were genuinely happy. However, things took a dark turn when he started struggling with alcohol. I began to notice things that weren't right and tried to discuss it with him. He would get extremely drunk and ask for help, only to deny it and make me doubt myself the next day. This pattern continued for a few years until he finally became sober. I was proud of his sobriety at the time, but little did I know he had replaced one obsession with another. I did see changes in him. He started getting easily annoyed, feeling down, and had constant dark circles under his eyes. He became distant, and I felt like there was an emotional gap between us. He stopped initiating closeness and seemed mentally absent when we did engage. It worried me, but I convinced myself that it was due to the difficult situations we had been through. Let me tell you about the incredibly tough 3 years we had prior to this. He was diagnosed with a cancer when he was 27 years old and passed away at the age of 30. As part of his treatment, he had to undergo surgery to remove one of his testicles. Although he managed to cope with it, he never fully dealt with the emotional impact it had on him. During the period between his diagnosis and the surgery, we decided to start trying for a baby. but it wasn't successful. I still remember the moment I came home and had to tell him that there was no heartbeat. The expression in his eyes. That was when I realized I had lost him completely. He never recovered from that moment and gradually fell into a deep depression. We had started seeking infertility treatment, which initially involved investigating the issue. I felt like I was going through it all by myself. Meanwhile, he seemed to always be engrossed in his computer, playing games and participating in Discord chats. However, it felt like he was never truly present after that. I felt incredibly isolated, and my attempts to connect with him only seemed to push him further away. I couldn't comprehend it, and it wasn't until after his last days that I began to grasp the reasons behind his behavior. I started to feel afraid of getting pregnant, and my therapist suggested we pause unprotected contacts until I felt more secure. When I shared this with him, he reacted strangely. He became angry with me, expressing that he needed closeness for emotional well-being and was disappointed that I couldn't meet his needs. He rarely opened up about his feelings, so I appreciated his honesty. I wanted to continue the conversation to understand better, but he said he wasn't ready for that discussion. The following day, he seemed highly agitated and anxious. He told me he needed to confess something and struggled for several minutes before finally saying, "I think I have obsession with X movies." His intense distress didn't match the significance of X movies in our relationship. I couldn't comprehend why he was reacting this way. He mentioned feeling like he was losing control and experiencing fear, which confused me even more. After this admission, he was exhausted and just wanted to have dinner. The following morning, as I was preparing for work, he woke up and greeted me with a sleepy smile, saying, "I love you." We shared a kiss, and I playfully tousled his hair before leaving the room. Little did I know, those would be our final words. At 13:20, he stopped responding to my texts and didn't answer any calls. When I returned home, I noticed the back door was open and the house was eerily quiet. I went outside and discovered him in the garage. He had used a rope and his shorts were pulled down, exposing him. His phone lay on the ground next to his right hand with a shattered screen. It was an accident resulting from autoerotic asphyxiation. I never imagined he would actually put himself in real danger. That's how I learned about his obsession with closeness. As my world crumbled, the puzzle pieces started to come together. I moved back in with my parents, feeling like an empty shell. I had a desperate desire to understand why he would engage in something so perilous. Although I couldn't unlock his phone, I could access his Google history, which surprisingly appeared clean. Why didn't he keep a search history? Why was location history disabled? And why did he never share his phone password with me? It was clear where my search was heading. Eventually, I discovered that he had a VPN subscription, made a $10 transaction on Cash App to a woman, and remained logged into a single X-movie site. His profile on that website was linked to a Yahoo email address I had never seen before. So I visited Yahoo, entered the email address, and tried the only password of his that I knew, and it worked. I gained access. My heart raced as I quickly scanned through the email subject lines. There were a lot of unfamiliar sites, including Craigslist. The emails traced back to our time in college. It devastated me. I came across numerous posts where he complained about me, my lack of skill in BJ, and my inability to be exciting in bed. Keep in mind, I had spent 12 years trying my best to fulfill his desires. It hurt to realize that he never truly valued me. Some posts suggested that I was amazing in every aspect except closeness, so he sought other outlets to fulfill that need while remaining in the relationship. I also discovered countless chat logs on Discord, Skype, Facebook Messenger, and Telegram. In one role play, he pretended to be hypnotized to forget about me, and as the scenario progressed, they expressed love for each other and discussed the possibility of D moving across the country to be with the other person. There was also an instance during our college years where he engaged in texting with an older woman while I slept next to him. Additionally, while we were married, he had an online affair with a college student. The sheer number of these instances is overwhelming. I shared my discovery with his mother, which may sound strange, but we've always had a close relationship. She reacted strangely, falling into an eerie silence. Eventually, she spoke slowly, and revealed something shocking. I thought he had stopped doing that. Excuse me, what? She reluctantly disclosed that during our first year of college, he had confessed to her that he had cheated. He explained that he felt lonely and homesick, and turned to closeness as a source of comfort. He met up with a guy, started giving him a BJ, but then broke down in tears and ran away. Apparently he sought counseling for the remainder of that semester. His mother believed that was the end of it, but he had continued his infidelity in secret. He began cheating on me no later than 6 months into our relationship, and continued doing so on and off until his last days. The last messages on his phone involved role-playing on Kik. It feels as if I lost him on 2 occasions. When he passed away, I lost the future we had planned together. And when I uncovered his infidelity, I lost the past we shared. Everything I believed to be true turned out to be a lie. It's a confusing and disorienting experience. Considering how extensively he deceived me and hid his actions, I find it difficult to trust him. However, his struggle with this obsession appears to be genuine. There were many moments where he genuinely loved me. Yet, he also cheated on me throughout our entire relationship. I am both a grieving widow and a betrayed spouse. I still love him deeply, but I'm painfully hurt. It's all mixed together, and at times, I don't know whether I want to embrace him or confront him. How does one reconcile betrayal from the person they trusted the most when they can never have a conversation with them again?